Hey guys, another exciting Smolov intensive squat training session for you here. This is week 2, the second workout, and it has me work up to the first time I'm hitting those pretty high numbers. So yeah, gotta admit, I was a little nervous going into the session, just because you see big numbers on paper and you see that you're doing more than one rep at them, and it can get in your head sometimes. But that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is even when you see a number that makes you kind of nervous, you don't need to be afraid of it. If you've been training and your recovery is solid and your nutrition's solid and you're doing the right things, barring freak occurrences and fluke accidents that you couldn't control anyway, there's no reason to be afraid. Trust your program, trust yourself to be able to go through it. If you get skittish and you start freaking out and you try to overhype yourself for a top set, then you start to get into that realm of relying on an emotional state to help carry you through. You should be able to do your workouts calm. I'm a big believer in, intensity is great, intensity of focus is great, but if you have to rile yourself up into an emotional state to complete a set, it will be very difficult to replicate that same emotional state every single time you do a heavy set of anything. And that puts even more pressure on you, and it makes it all the more negatively impactful when you have a session where you're mentally not as able to get yourself excited moving into it. So I really am, when I'm training with guys, I just tell them, make sure you're focused, make sure you're solid, but you don't need to be slapping yourself and yelling and hooting and hollering. You just have to get under the bar and do what you're capable of doing. So, that's kind of the gist of where my mentality was at today. I didn't want to get hyped up and excited for these sets. It's 550 for 3 sets of 3 after my warm-ups, it's a tough weight. I know that I could do it because I did it in my last session, but I feel like I was better off just being focused and not trying to get all hyped up for everything. And that goes even more so for my final set. You can see after I hit these 3, which I feel like the second set was probably my best because I had the least fear. I didn't mind, or I was able to descend a lot faster on that one, and I tried it a little bit. I was a little out of position on this third set, and that kind of messed me up. But if I'm ever more nervous about a weight, more tentative with a weight, you take it down slower and you're not going to get nearly as much pop out of the bottom. And you can watch any of my videos. When I descend faster, I generally hit the weight easier. And if I overthink it and if there's any kind of fear, any kind of nerves on the way down, it reflects by making the lift harder, and then you're justifying that feeling. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're tentative with a weight, it's going to be harder for you. That's just the way it is. Afterwards, those 3 sets, I had 580 here, which hitting it for a triple, I was nervous when I looked at this on paper because I don't think I've ever hit this weight for that many reps before. I mean, I've hit doubles around this weight, but I've never tried for a triple, and I've especially never tried a triple after doing 3 sets of 3 at a relatively heavy weight. So we're getting to the point now where it's some pretty heavy volume for me that I'm not used to, and I'm pushing myself out of the comfort zone. And you see I descended a little slower on that 3rd rep, but managed to grind it out. I feel good about that set, especially considering that it was a PR, but also the conversion there, the rep conversion, has me about a 638, which some people say, oh, rep conversions are not accurate, and I would agree, for the most part they're not. I tend to be pretty accurate to my rep conversions, especially when I'm doing lower rep ranges. So a triple is a pretty good indicator for me that I'm moving along where I want to be. And it only gets tougher from here, and I'm only going to be expecting more from myself from this program. After the squats, moved over to the bench. Still a little bit tight, but just from the squats, actually, my shoulders and my forearms like to be... I use a lot of upper body tightness to keep that bar on my back, and so it makes benching a little tough, but I did hit my 3 sets of 5 here, 4 touch and go reps and 1 pause rep at the end of each set. At 320 was the weight, and I will be coming back in tomorrow and hitting my 330 for 8 sets of 2 all paused reps. So that's staying true to how my bench cycle is planned out right now in my mind, and I'm excited to see how everything's going. Right now, I'm feeling very good, feeling like everything is on track, and it just is going to come down to if I can maintain this level of focus outside the gym to be recovered for every session. Sunday's going to be it's a tough workout. It's another one that looks scary on paper, and it's just going to be a matter of putting everything together in between now and then to be ready for that, so I just go through it and know that I can make it through. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like rating or subscribe if you haven't. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I try to get back to them. If I can't get back to them, or if a couple weeks go by and I'm not having as much time to come and look at the older videos, if you guys can answer them for each other, that helps me too, if you know what my advice usually is for a lot of common questions. Other than that, check out my Facebook athlete page if you haven't yet. I'd always appreciate the support over there. Thank you again for all the positive energy and the support that I get from you guys. I really appreciate all the nice, kind things you say, and it's really inspiring to me to keep doing this, and really justifies putting as much time into this as I do. So thanks a lot, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.